So, hey everybody, I'm Kyle, also known as What's the Deets. We're back for another KeeperDAO community call. I'm really excited for our call today. We're going to be talking with one of our integration partners, Tally Ho. Really pumped about that. We've got Chris Jones here, Rockstar Community Manager. So Chris, we'll start with him giving us a quick intro to Tally Ho, and then I've got some questions for him. And then I saw a few community questions posted in the thread down below the voice chat channel. So with that being said, why don't we just, Chris, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me today.
Fantastic, man. Well, hey, why don't we pass the spotlight on over to you? Give us a quick intro, and then I think you've got some stuff to share for us on Tally Ho.
Yeah, for sure. I was talking about some slides earlier. I can share those after the call or something. But yeah, really, just here to chat with you guys about kind of what we're doing, what we are, what we're trying to build, and how we can work together on that. So, um, Tallyho is the first fully open source, community owned and operated Web3 wallet. So what that means is we've gone live with our wallet extension. You can try the alpha version right now. What we've titled it is the community edition. So we're still fixing bugs. We're still adding features. We're still actively developing, moving towards the first full edition of the wallet. And that's going to be when it's deployed, the DAO is also going to be deployed at the same time. So essentially, we're building in conjunction with our community right now, and really trying to get them involved, and really working on the wallet to start to take ownership even before we go to the DAO. But yeah, right now, the extension is live. It is open sourced on GitHub. We're fully open source GPL v3, which is actually a really cool license. If you aren't familiar with GPL v3, it's essentially a viral open source license. So what that means is if any other project forks the extension, takes a piece of code from it and integrates into their project, they also need to follow that same license of GPL v3. So it's a way of kind of in almost infecting closed source licensed products, and making sure that we have a healthy open source ecosystem. So really, those are open source and community ownership are huge values that we hold really dear, along with just general decentralization. But yeah, essentially, we we think it's really strange that a lot of the wallets that we used, we'll talk about maybe one specific Fox wallet, but it's really strange that it's not really forkable. If people have talked to me in the course of even just being with Tally Cash that they've tried to fork other wallets. We won't name too many names, but yeah, they've tried to fork it, tried to build it for their specific purpose, even just small projects, and been told no, you can't do that. It's like it's against our license. There's also been in-wallet swaps introduced. Well, I'll just say it. We're in-wallet swaps in MetaMask. That take an additional fee that go to basically to Consensus, which is a corporation that has done several raises recently and brought in money from many traditional banking corporations, JP Morgan, etc. And all of the fees that are flowing from users to that wallet um, are going to a centralized corporation. We think that's not very Web3. So really, the inspiration for Tallyho came when MetaMask closed their source and released swaps. We really thought that was antithetical to what we're building in the space. A lot of the people on our team, myself included, really care about the properties of what we're building and really trying to build a space that follows the ideals that we want to see. Um, So yeah, that's really where we came from with Tally Ho is uh, coming seeing that there's projects building in the space that maybe don't have the same values that we do, and really trying to build something for those folks who really see value in things like open source and community ownership. So yeah, that's kind of the long and short of it. Essentially, we are a MetaMask alternative. We're a Web3 wallet. We're still pretty fresh and new. So if you're interested in getting involved, it's still a great time to do it, and especially if you want to help shape what the wallet looks like. Um, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Awesome, Chris. Really, really cool. Thanks for the quick intro there. So for a number of our folks, I think that they've seen you guys for a while, but just to kind of get the obvious out of the way, you guys just went through a name change. Can you kind of explain kind of what went into that decision?
You bet, you bet. So there's a little bit that I can't delve too far into. Some of it is legal issues. We'd had some issues with folks sending DMCA notices, so basically takedown notices of our extension in some of the stores. So there was a period where the Firefox store had taken the extension down, but the Chrome store was still up. Then there's kind of the reverse happened. We sorted it out with Firefox, and then the Chrome store took the extension down. We're back up in both now. That's all kind of sorted out. But yeah, essentially, we we basically came to an agreement with the folks that have been talking to us in the back channels, in the legal channels, and basically said, look, we'd really appreciate if you stop sending notices to take our our extension down. We're not trying to infringe. Uh, so essentially, we decided to do a soft rebrand in the meantime, and that seemed to be acceptable. So we've just added Tally Ho instead of just Tally. It is really where the name came from and was inspired by. So it's not really a huge change for us. It's still very dog themed, so we don't lose any of those precious memes. Um, but yeah, really, the idea behind Tally Ho is a little bit funny, a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek thing, but it's essentially a phrase that was shouted by hunters at the start of a fox hunt. So a little bit of a cheeky play on words there. But yeah, that's essentially we've done a soft rebrand to Tally Ho. So if you've seen Tally in the past and you see Tally Ho moving forward, we're the same community, same project, just a slightly different couple extra letters there for the case of basically to avoid some legal repercussions. So um, yeah, that's kind of the story behind the rebrand. I believe we may also do a larger rebrand in the future, but we want to make sure we get through launch and still have the folks that have seen what we're doing up to this point, um, and really also to get the DAO out in the case of doing a larger rebrand. We'd love to see the community get more involved in that, but that's all much further down the road. We are definitely Tally Ho right now. And yeah, that's kind of the story behind the name, the rebrand, and the name change.
Awesome. Thanks for telling us about that, Chris. I appreciate it. I am still definitely a proud border collie over in your guys' Discord server, and also a proud beta tester of the community version as well, which I'm super excited about.
Very nice. Yeah, we love our dog packs over there.
Uh,
We've got a nice little sorting hat quiz if folks haven't taken that yet. So
yeah, it's pretty cool. You guys got some cool stuff over there. Chris, why don't we quickly pivot though, and let's talk about you for a sec. So, what drew you to Web3?
So what drew me to Web3? So I've been around this space for quite a long time. I originally started when it was literally just Bitcoin and the various forks of Bitcoin. Um, and yeah, I kind of saw what was being built and thought it was kind of interesting and just started delving into it just to learn more, really. Um, I was lucky enough to go back to school for a graduate degree. I got my master's in sociology, and was lucky enough to make the space essentially the topic of my research. So I spent about 2 years researching crypto from this was about oh, 2016 to 2018 or so. And I was researching basically the development space and social implications, political implications, and the kind of the possibilities around the crypto space, looking at ideologies and why people were involved with projects and that kind of thing. It wasn't really something that was very well studied. There wasn't very much published in the social realm at that time, so a lot of it was applying older social theory to what was at the time a very new development. And I've been really happy to see a lot more social analysis since then. So that's really cool to see. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was very much just I saw the possibility of the space. I saw kind of the cool things we could do, things that we have been restricted from doing, a lot of permissionless stuff. But yeah, just a lot of exciting possibilities that really couldn't be enabled by the traditional financial system and the rails that it's built on. So really just seeing that opportunity and being able to kind of continually work on various aspects of it and dig deeper over time. Yeah, it just kind of gradually pulled me further and further down the rabbit hole, and here I am now, organizing communities and yeah, really trying to help build in the ways that I have skills to help with. So
That's awesome. And yeah, even just looking through your Twitter profile, I can see some of the writing and publishing that you've done before. It's really cool. Which leads me kind of the next part, which is how'd you get into community building? And then how did that translate to getting started with Tally?
yeah, you bet. So it kind of, I guess it makes maybe a little more sense if folks know that my background was in the social sciences. So yeah, a lot of my research, even in my undergrad, was really looking at internet communities and how we come together, what makes a strong community, why do we need internet communities, and yeah, that's kind of the basis for a lot of just interest that I had. So it seemed like a really interesting, seemed like a good fit to move into the space in that area. And I mean, when I started, probably my first full-ish time role was with Keep Network. So that's actually another project under the thesis portfolio. So Tallyho is being basically incubated by Thesis as a venture studio, and then it's going to be launched. The DAO is going to take over essentially once we launch that V1. But yeah, so I started helping with community over at Keep Network. I was kind of, like I said, one of the first roles that I had that was really in the space that wasn't volunteering or that kind of thing. Um, and yeah, I just really, community management was really um, not a really established role or anything at that time. This was in early 2020. So yeah, about not quite 2.5 years ago. And yeah, I just a lot of stuff was really kind of feeling out what works, what doesn't, what brings people in, what engages people. How do you make a community that is uh, basically aligned with what you're doing and not just a lot of like when token sort of community members. So yeah, that's kind of like where I came from. And then also worked for Common Stack for a while doing communications as well and community stuff there. And really, I have a passion for making sure that projects are accessible. Projects are building something that's essentially beneficial for as many people as possible. A lot of folks, a lot of those projects kind of fall into the public goods space. So things like Gitcoin, um, things like, I mean, yeah, Common Stack itself is kind of focused on a lot of those sorts of projects. We also helped build the Token Engineering Commons, which is essentially a DAO to bootstrap the development of token engineering as a field of study, um, and an industry field, basically. So yeah, a lot of public goods work, and really just trying to make sure that that people have access when and where they need, and they can contribute in the ways that they feel empowered to. And really, that's kind of where we're going with Tally as well, with Tally Ho. Sorry, I'm still getting used to that rebrand a little bit, but yeah, we're trying to re-envision a wallet as a public good and one that can be managed by the community that uses it. So I think that's a really, really, yeah, like a good kind of target to get to. And I feel really passionate about that as a concept. I know a number of our developer community and our community at large also feel that way. And really, is as long as you're building communications that really get that across, I think it's easier to build an aligned community than you might think if you put time into making sure that what you're building is in alignment with your values, and what you're communicating about that project is also in alignment with your values. And people recognize that, people will see that, and as long as you're there and engaged and able to answer questions and yeah, make sure people feel comfortable and they don't feel like it's a some sort of a rug pull or a scam or something. People are going to stick around if they think what you're building is interesting and aligned with what they want to see. So, I mean, I feel like it's kind of a trope in the space that people are here sometimes to get rich, or like yeah, just like treat things as an investment or something. But a lot of the communities that I'm involved in, and I'm sure the KeeperDAO community is really the same kind of line as yeah, other ones that I've seen, is like, we're here to build, we're here to like try and make a difference and build something and innovate, really, for and to lift up our communities. So I mean, that's pretty powerful to me, and I think that's really a worthy goal to kind of continue moving forward with. So, yeah, that's kind of, I mean, that's kind of a long, meandering answer as to, yeah, where I came from and how I got into this. But yeah, I mean, if there's community builders out there, aspiring community builders, really, the best thing you can do is just get involved with some of these projects that are either DAOified already or moving towards a DAO. Just offer your yeah, get involved, ask questions, and if you feel that there's something that you can contribute, um, don't shy away from it. That's really how we get involved and how we continue to push the space forward.
That's some fantastic advice. Having watched you guys for a while, it's really cool to see how much you guys have kind of owned and even indoctrinated your tagline of being a community owned wallet. Looking at your community as a whole, it looks thriving. You have a large community, lots of participation. I mean, an extremely healthy co-op farming army. A really cool crew of volunteers and folks that contribute. So, what's worked best for you? And then what also was like a tough lesson for you to learn?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, like you mentioned earlier, the dog packs has been just a fun kind of little early community building thing. So, one of the things that we thought about in terms of Tally Ho is, how do we get the community involved before there's a full version of the wallet and before the DAO is launched? And we needed kind of something that was related to kind of the theme, the brand, and what we were building. And so yeah, that kind of took the form of the dog packs. And then not only just making the dog packs as kind of just a fun quiz and roll, but also giving those folks who have gone that far to do the quiz, claim a role, and gave them like a basically a gated channel to have conversations. And then we basically made what are called hunts. They're kind of here and there. We basically give folks in those packs a task. So some of the early ones were, what's your favorite DAO or DAO tooling? What is oh, I'm trying to remember what the other ones were. Seems so long ago. But yeah, what's your favorite DAO? How do you basically some design tasks as well. Integration hunt. So that was basically, can you make a connection to a project that you've been involved with, and essentially coordinate an integration with them. And yeah, all kinds of different little tasks that were basically like fun competitions between the community members. But also we have like all the general channels and things, so that it's not really super segmented, except in that little kind of fun area. So that was like one pretty interesting thing that we did, and really just making sure that people who want to contribute have an area that they can go to, or like have something that they can uh, yeah, basically like forming working groups and trying to just empower people to be able to contribute. Um, and yeah, I mean, as far as what are some tough lessons? I mean, the biggest thing is like community members are awesome, but they and contribute a lot, but at the same time, you sometimes have to understand that they may not have all the time that, say, full fully compensated folks in the project have. So the biggest thing is really just making sure that you're not overbearing on people that are there to contribute with their time where they can, but also like making sure that you're utilizing the folks in the ways that they want to be. So yeah, really kind of matching the ability to give time commitments and the tasks at hand. That's kind of like the biggest trick, and I think probably the most tricky ongoing thing for I think DAOs in general. Really not trying to make sure that you can offer areas to contribute to without really monopolizing their time and free time. Because I mean, everybody, the Web3 space moves so fast. Everyone here is very well aware of that, and it's really hard sometimes to take time away. So um, my goal is really to avoid burning out our community members. So yeah, that's kind of the big thing for us, at least in terms of my thinking on community. So um, yeah, I mean, the other thing is people are also involved with various projects, which can be really great. Even though it kind of cuts into maybe some of their available time for one specific project, um, the connections that people can build between just community members is really strong. And I think it's I mean, the space is really just starting to kind of understand that. I mean, we've talked about community and you can't fork a community kind of thing for years now, I think, at this point. But really, we've only started to get like community management and community specific and focused roles in the space in projects, even in major projects, over the last like year and a half, I think. So really, I think it's really cool to see basically projects and leaders start to recognize that really the value and power is in your community. And I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I think is a power, like superpower of community ownership and DAOing a project, making sure that the grassroots and your contributors have a real say and like real legitimate power in the project. So yeah, that's again, I'm rambling a little bit, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Awesome, for sure. And for me, looking at what you guys have been doing, one of the let's call it DAO isms that I feel like you guys have really taken to heart is kind of enabling that community ownership through crowdsourcing, contributions, whether that was, like poster designing or PO-op designing, or your Tally Scouts program, or your delegates program as well. That's all been super cool. But what I'm really interested in hearing about is, looking at the next steps for when you guys, maybe I don't know if you've announced or something, but when you guys become a DAO, and you guys have like a true governance process, what's that governance process going to look like, and what went into the formation, or what is going into the formation of governance for you?
You bet. You bet. So governance is, DAO governance is a big thing. Kind of, again, a bit of a personal pet area that I really enjoy delving into and experimenting with. Um, so yeah, I mean, we're currently designing out the kind of final versions right now. We're presenting. I think we presented it to a kind of closed group that expressed interest in DAO design in our community right now. I believe that we released the initial design to them today for feedback, and we're going to be sending it to our governance forum sometime next week, we're hoping. But yeah, essentially, we've been working on designing this, and community members have been a really kind of leading the charge on this with just some feedback and general comments from folks like me and Matt and some of the other folks on the team. Um, but yeah, it's we really wanted to make sure that there is avenues for token holders to really get involved. Sorry, I shouldn't say token holders. We currently don't have a token, but yeah, basically community members to get involved and really feel like they have a say in governance. You mentioned the delegate program, so again, we're going to be using Governor Bravo contracts, which is similar to, well, it's the same framework that ENS, Gitcoin DAO, and Compound's the originator of those contracts, but they all use those sort of governance contracts. The biggest benefit to those contracts, in my opinion, is the delegation ability. So making sure that folks who maybe either have a small amount that they want to, that they feel like it's not necessarily worthwhile for them to continually vote on chain to make their voice heard, they can delegate to someone that they trust, or they are in alignment with in terms of how they would vote. And there's also the option for redelegation if, for example, someone votes in a way that you would have been against your interest or that kind of thing. So really kind of allowing folks to, kind of different options. You can self-delegate as well if you really want to be someone who is actively participating all the time in votes. A couple other things, and a lot of this hasn't been shared yet even in our community, but I'll give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek. Essentially, we're trying to organize things in a way that gives autonomy to the working groups without having to do a large DAO vote for every small project. But we're really wanting to have kind of main budgets and timelines and various roadmaps kind of voted on generally by the community. So the way that we've kind of set it up is a couple main kind of working groups that oversee the smaller groups. Then there's kind of nested sub DAOs there, which would be the working groups. So essentially, we're going to have, or at least the proposal. So this may also change with community feedback. So take this all with a grain of salt for the time being, but essentially the larger groups, to give you guys an idea, one is the builder pack, one is the operations pack, and one is the growth pack, for example. So these are large kind of groups that would oversee a large number of different different working groups that would fit under them. But they propose, for example, I don't know, quarterly budgets as one example, to the DAO for voting, and then the funding will go to those working groups to carry out the roadmap that they've essentially laid out for the next several months, and grants and that kind of thing. But yeah, really, I mean, one of the big things that I've seen with DAOs that I've been a part of is that there's a lot of voter apathy. So really, this is kind of double-edged or dual purpose, I guess, in terms of trying to reduce the amount of overall votes that people have to do to reduce voter apathy, and also to give those working groups at the lowest level the autonomy that they need to kind of be effective and be able to kind of go about their business and make sure that they're achieving the things that they've set out to without having to have a vote on literally everything. The other thing that we've tried to work into this design is essentially some socialized parameters for the length of time. For example, a proposal should be on the governance forum with the ability to discuss before it can move to a vote. So we've basically set that just right now in our background design. Again, may change one way or another as we get to the final DAO design, but we've set that for 7 days, basically a minimum of a week on the forum. And then we're also doing essentially vote windows. So the idea is to have basically every 2 weeks, all the proposals that have been discussed and have received like soft support and generally have made it to consensus as to the scope of the proposal. Those kind of all the ones that meet those criteria and are ready to move for voting will all be moved to voting at the same time. We're thinking on a Friday, I think is just as an example. So the Friday the voting would start, and then you have the voting period length to vote on all the proposals that have moved forward, and then you can kind of go about your day as a delegate the rest of the 2 weeks. I mean, you can certainly get engaged in the discussions and things, but the core votes are going to be kind of fairly predictable, and yeah, again, something that we're hoping reduces voter apathy and makes sure that people can be informed and really develop kind of a cadence for like checking in to make sure that they're informed on the votes and seeing what's going forward and all that kind of thing. So a lot of other small details that we're trying to make to implement here in our DAO design as well, just to make sure things run smoothly, and yeah, there's some predictability in terms of where things are, how long to expect before votes move forward, and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of the long and short of it. But yeah, many more details that will be posted in the governance forum probably next week, like I mentioned. So if you're interested in checking out kind of the direction that we're going with the DAO and the design of it, definitely keep an eye on that governance forum. And if you're interested in becoming a delegate, I believe there's still time to get a delegate application in. So if that's something of interest, head over to gov.tally.cash. And yeah, there's the largest thread there is the delegate application thread. So if you're interested, there's still a little bit of time, but I would do it ASAP if you'd like to do that.
Really cool. You know, it's funny. Thinking about your contributorship. You know, I had this vision as you were describing that as like a DAOception, where I've got Leonardo DiCaprio whispering in my ear, "We've got to go a level deeper with your little sub DAOs and things with your work." I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that's a good. That honestly is a good visualization. When you see the design, like the diagrams and stuff, yeah, that's pretty apt.
That's awesome. All right, so I know you touched on it at the beginning of the call in your introduction, but I'd love to circle back to development and just see, like, what's the latest with the wallet, and what are some upcoming things that you're looking to see it finished up in the next little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, the most exciting thing that I'm looking forward to as a future feature that's going to be shipping pretty soon, although I don't have an exact date, is multi-network support. And I think a lot of our community is also really kind of waiting with bated breath on that feature shipping. I mean, right now it's Ethereum mainnet. And we obviously there's reasons for that to be the first target network. But yeah, definitely the whole team believes in a multi-chain future. Our community is active on various chains. And so yeah, that's really the next feature that I really am looking forward to. As for where the extension is right now, we've got a lot of pretty sweet stuff in there already. Um, we've got in-wallet swaps, which are we basically undercut MetaMask fees for their in-wallet swap by, I don't know, at least half, I think even less than that. And all the other difference is all of those fees, even in the absence of the DAO, are flowing to a community multisig. So we have community members who have basically volunteered to be a part of this multisig address. And essentially, that's where all the fees during testing and up to the DAO deployment uh, are flowing to. Once the DAO is deployed, obviously that will go to the DAO treasury. But yeah, really, we wanted to, even in our testing, we didn't want funds from swaps going to the team or anything like that. We really wanted to make sure that it's community owned, and even the multi-sig in advance of the DAO is community owned. So yeah, we've got in-wallet swaps, which are pretty sweet. They flow currently through 0x protocol. Would love to see some keeper limit orders added at some point. Um, so that's a pretty cool feature. Our ledger support is honestly, I think it's the best hardware support that I've seen in a wallet. It's super easy to connect your ledger hardware. We do have additional hardware support coming, but yeah, if you have any experience with trying to use ledger with software wallets in the past, it's been fraught with bugs and just connection issues and all kinds of different things. So that's one thing that I think our extension does really, really smoothly and well, is connecting and interacting using Ledger as a hardware wallet. Other stuff that we have, there's the ability to, I guess for one, you can create a new wallet with a 24-word seed phrase. You can also import a MetaMask recovery phrase. Basically, if you want to pull over your addresses and not have to worry about paying network fees to transfer assets to a new address, you can just move your existing one directly in and import it. The other nice thing is you can try the wallet without exposing any key material or even creating a new wallet. You can use the wallet as read-only. So all you really need is an address to input there, and you can explore the wallet, all the functionality aside from actually transacting and signing and that kind of thing, because that obviously requires key material. But yeah, essentially, if you just want to poke around a little bit, or maybe you want to impersonate someone and just pretend that you're Vitalik for a day or something, you can put Vitalik.eth in there and use that as read only. But yeah, and the other nice thing that I value is you can, once you've either created a new wallet or you've imported a wallet, you can also add additional keys and seeds. So yeah, basically there's the ability to have more than one seed phrase sort of thing within the one wallet. So, and you can also go through the derivation paths and add wallet addresses for each of those seeds. But yeah, that's something that I haven't seen in many wallets, is the ability to kind of have more than one seed phrase integrated into kind of the single wallet extension without having to like do a sign out or like have another browser with that extension installed or something like that, which I think is also really good for particularly for developers who have to who really need to test with a various number of wallets and addresses that aren't that they maybe don't want connected to their main addresses, or like there was a case, I think it was at Denver in 2020. I think there was a hacker that had he'd basically put his seed phrase into some of their code that they didn't really think about it, and the wallet address that they were using didn't have anything but testnet stuff in it. But because they had exposed that seed phrase, because there's really only one seed phrase available in most of the major wallets, they had their other address compromised that did have legitimate assets in it. And yeah, so I mean, I see that kind of having a specific developer seed phrase in the wallet that you can use and kind of switch back to, and then back to your legitimate seed phrase that has your main assets and things on it. I think that's kind of a nice feature for devs. And one other feature for devs is I believe there was a workshop at ETH Denver this year by Greg from our team and some of the Alchemy folks, basically looking at the ability to launch your own local version of the Ethereum mainnet, and be able to kind of test locally on the legitimate, like on the mainnet um, network essentially. So yeah, which is again something that has been not really supported by other wallet addresses. If you're interested in that, I mean, I probably explained it very poorly. I'm not really a dev, so but yeah, I would encourage you, if that sounds like something you're interested in, check out the workshop with Greg from the Tally Ho team now, and um, the Alchemy folks. And yeah, they kind of go through all the steps to kind of cloning mainnet to your local machine and doing testing that way. So
That's really cool. I got two more quick questions, and we'll hop into a few community questions before we
sure.
wrap up. All right, Chris. So something that I've been seeing talked about, and something that's picking up a little bit of steam, and I'm wondering if maybe it's something that you guys are considering, is kind of either peer-to-peer or wallet-to-wallet or address messaging. Is
Mm.
that something that you guys are thinking about?
Yeah, so actually that was we had a community call earlier today, and that was we actually had gm.xyz. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with them yet, but they're essentially kind of a messaging and social platform that you use through your address. There is also another messaging platform. I'm trying to remember. It's like XTMP, I think. Yeah, XMTP. Sorry. They're also doing basically messaging stuff. And yeah, there has been some talk in both our community and our kind of background chats, um, as to whether this is something we should be integrating. I think there's been some mock-ups even done as well, because yeah, there's a lot of functionality that we think things like messaging and notifications can add to kind of the wallet experience, and really kind of enhance, especially when we're starting to move towards. I mean, it may not have been something folks thought about when it was just like we were all just minting crypto kitties, and that was kind of the the gist of it. But like there's so
I don't
much
want to
more.
tell you how many crypto kitties I have.
I have enough as well, so it's yeah, good times. But honestly, I mean, as much as crypto kitties is kind of looked at a certain way. I mean, it's still, I think, a good way for people to learn some of the basics in just sort of a fun way. I really like the just gaming side of crypto in terms of its ability to teach people about the concepts. So one example being Dark Forest, I really love in terms of how they use zero knowledge and like using masking stuff information that's still known, but you have to uncover it. Lots of cool stuff there. But yeah, going back to the messaging side, it is definitely something that we're considering. Obviously, it's something we'd be looking to integrate other projects that are building this. So yeah, I mean that's one of the major things that I think, particularly going the DAO route, really uh, gives us the ability to partner with a much wider group and develop connections to much wider varieties of projects. But yeah, so like I said, XMTP is something we've looked at. I'm also aware of inbox in INB0x dot life, which is I think made by the Parallel NFT team. They've done some messaging as well. We've also had EPNS on our so Ethereum push notification service on our community call to talk about, for example, if pushing notifications to wallets who are delegates, for example, that there's a DAO vote open or things like that. So, I mean, I think that's the other big thing that we've kind of been thinking about kind of as we move forward with the wallet development, and I'd love to see this considered more um, as we move through the early DAO phases, but really like reimagining what a wallet is, and like maybe wallet is an outdated like name for what it is that we're using as this tool, because it's like we've seen that it's identity, we've seen that it's assets, we've seen that it's all kinds of different things. Could be messaging, could be notifications. We're seeing things like GM.xyz and Lens protocol doing much more social stuff. So yeah, I mean, is wallet really the best name for it? Maybe it's not, and maybe there's functionality that we're not thinking of because we're in this mindset of it's a wallet. So what does a wallet do? Maybe we need to be expanding that a bit. And I think that really have growing the community and having more people involved really just exposes us to the possibility of having more of those kind of off the wall ideas that may end up being really key and cool features in the future that might not be what you would consider a wallet feature. So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see where we can go with this. Messaging is a good example of it, but I think there's a lot even beyond that that we can expand into. And yeah, I'm really excited for the future, and the future being community run.
That's awesome. All right, so I got one last little topic, and it's a little bit of a loaded question for you. So,
All right.
we recently saw the Consensus Fox wallet, temporarily geo-block folks in Venezuela by their IP address. Has that led to more attention around or excitement around Tally Ho? And has that led to any decisions or new partnerships for you guys?
Yeah, so I mean, that's definitely something that we've been aware of. We've seen kind of ways that they've amended their code to do various kind of data tracking of users and like things that we think are really, again, antithetical to the Web3 space. And geo-blocking is just one more example of that. So, um, I mean, it wasn't a huge surprise to us that we saw that happen, even though Infura mentioned that, it was a configuration error. Sure, fine, but that ability to do that is still built in there. And sure, you can change the RPC nodes and things within MetaMask if you want, but like you need a level of technical ability there and at least a level of understanding that's probably beyond your especially folks who are newly coming into the space or newly recently onboarded into Web3. And I mean, that's just not really good user experience, in my opinion, to have the ability to be censored with all your default settings. So, I mean, like I said, this is something that we've been thinking about for a while, even before this incident happened. I think it made a lot of other folks much more aware of the possibility of something like this happening, of just being cut off by your major tool that you use regularly to interact with the space, and just having them say, "Oh, sorry, we're based in the U.S., so too bad you can't use our tool." I mean, that's so ridiculous to me. And yeah, so one of the things that we've done right from the start, we've kind of had an eye on infrastructure centralization. And so that's why we built the current version of the wallet not using Infura. We actually use Alchemy, which again is a US based infrastructure company, but it's giving some business to not uh, the main player in the area that's more centralized. We really think that there should be options for people to use and not be forced into a single kind of monopoly infrastructure situation. So yeah, I mean that's definitely something we're considering. I mean, there's a few of our team who have been around since like Bitcoin days, and going from solo mining to pool mining, and then looking at mining distribution, and like really recognizing that yeah, there's a real need for diversity there and options and optionality. And yeah, monopolization of specific areas in the space really takes us away from where we should be going in the end as an end goal. So yeah, we started with using Alchemy as our infrastructure provider. We also have had Pocket Network on our calls. They've been featured on a couple of our community calls now. We have been planning to integrate Pocket Network, which is a decentralized RPC provider. So essentially, anyone can join their network and run a node, and so essentially, yeah, it kind of avoids having to build in those sanctions switches, I guess, for lack of a better term. But yeah, so that's the incident that we saw the other day certainly accelerated the intention to make that happen. So it's basically we've basically said, yeah, we want to integrate you guys as soon as possible. So yeah, I mean, and I, of course, yeah, I would say that there has been probably an uptick of interest in terms of just looking at alternatives. And I mean, happy to just see it. It doesn't have to benefit Tally Ho specifically. I'm really happy to see just folks thinking about, oh, maybe this one wallet, maybe we should have more than one wallet option, and maybe we should have more than one infrastructure provider option. Maybe we should have some redundancy here that ensures that and fallback options to make sure that we don't end up in a space where there's wide swaths of the global population uh, being censored from the tools that they're used to using. I mean, yeah, I mean that just seems like if we're building tools that are allowing for that kind of censorship to happen. I mean, why did we even come from the traditional finance space, or why are we coming here to build something different if we're just falling back to those same limitations and same command and control type yeah, situations where people can lose access just for the basis of where they live. I mean, yeah, it's not very Web3 in my opinion. So definitely something we've been thinking about and building towards and really trying to defend against. And yeah, I mean, definitely I would say we have had an uptick of interest in Tally Ho. But as I mentioned, I mean, I'm just happy to see people thinking more about alternatives and the value that having alternative options, whether or not you use them even, but that they exist is really valuable. So.
Well, I really respect that approach and excited to see you guys kind of really embrace it. All right, so we've got a couple minutes here. We got some community questions. I might combine a few of them, or some of them you might have addressed already. But here's well, two I'm going to combine because I think that they kind of have the same theme behind them. So, do you have some projected market share targets in the coming years, and how do you plan on gaining and retaining users?
It's a good question. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm really just excited about alternatives. So personally, I don't necessarily have a specific market share in mind that we're targeting. But I mean, I would like to see MetaMask users move over and try it and just see if they have a good experience. I mean, um, and I think even just by doing that, I think that there'll be a number of people who, just for various preferential reasons, will choose one or another, or maybe a different alternative wallet. Um, but I really just would like to um, see a little more diversity in the wallet options and the availability there. So if we even say, I don't know what, as an example, MetaMask probably has 70 to 80%, I would say, of the market, if not more, in terms of wallet users. Like, I mean, if we can bring that down to around 50 or maybe even less, that's something that I would see as a success. Um, not not necessarily because we need to pull a lot of market share. I mean, it probably would mean more tally ho users, but yeah, really, the diversity of options is really what I'm going for. If you talk to some of our biz dev folks or maybe some of our community members, they might give you a different answer. They might have a more targeted, uh, I guess, benchmark in mind. But yeah, I mean, for me as the community manager, it's usually not top of mind. My intention is really just to make sure people have a good experience, and really feel welcome and able to contribute if that's something that they want to do. But as far as like protecting, kind of building value, I think that's going to become pretty obvious once the DAO launches. I mean, we've seen with MetaMask with swaps, they've been making a ton of money just off of their swaps. So I mean, even if we pull a small percentage of folks and that are using MetaMask swaps on a regular basis, I mean that's just one avenue for the Tally Ho community to make money to continue to support itself and fund further development. And I mean, there's, like I said, if we are continuing to build features into the wallet, um, and potentially having additional services, um, there can be multiple flows back to the DAO treasury as we continue to build. So, I mean, it's going to be what we make it. And I think there's a lot of value, like I said earlier, in just having that community that feels empowered to contribute, is able to contribute ideas and really voice what they think the direction should be, and what they'd like to see in their wallet. And I mean, the other thing is we can be a bit more agile because we're open source. People can fork and start working on things on their own, and then just bring them back when they're done, and we can review and potentially integrate. And we can be a bit more responsive to community requests. So I think there's been a few different additional functionalities built into the wallet, even just from community comments and things. So one that folks have been running into is, particularly the first time they try the wallet, is it takes a little bit of time for their balances to load, and sometimes it takes a little bit for balances to refresh. So we basically added a little manual refresh button that people can use to kind of just kickstart that refresh if they've made a swap recently, or if their balance for some reason has changed. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of value that community ownership and community engagement can bring that really you just can't get in a very centralized corporate structure. And I think that if we can utilize that and make sure that we're making the most out of the community being involved and active and interested, and really kind of making sure that those their thoughts and ideas are heard, and potentially integrated, I think we can be a little more agile and really just generally more responsive to the community. And I think that in itself is kind of a superpower, and something that I think is going to resonate well with folks who, particularly those who are in the space for reasons of building something new, not just necessarily making some quick cash.
For sure. Awesome. I mean, that's really cool. Looking at it looks like you addressed, one of the next questions I was going to ask about leveraging the power of your community. You guys, keeping your stuff open source and getting folks to be able to contribute kind of asynchronously in terms of your core development, and then being able to pull in an integration. I think that's really, really cool.
I agree. It's like I said, it's probably one of the coolest features, and it's not even one of the wallet features. It's a community feature. So I mean, yeah, I'm really excited about that.
All right, I got a question here, and I know I didn't prep you for this question, but do you have any numbers off the top of your head? How many people have downloaded the community version and have tested transferring funds in, or testing your swaps out, or anything like that?
Yeah, you bet. Actually, we just had some of the numbers shared in our channels, our internal channels earlier today. So I actually do have some numbers handy for you. So yeah, we've got essentially just under 4,000 users, it seems, from the Chrome store. So that's kind of one metric that we have that I can give you. I think I don't think that includes Firefox and Brave users, but yeah, that's at least a pretty good indicator. I think that, I mean, our community is on Discord is around 11 or 12,000, I think. I haven't checked in the last couple days, but um, yeah. So I mean, there's definitely a lot of those folks really getting involved and engaged and really actively using the wallet, because yeah, I believe those stats are continually like active users, and not just downloads. But I could be wrong on that. But yeah, somewhere around 4,000 users so far, and that's still pre full version launch. We're technically still, like I said, in our alpha community version, so community edition. So I don't know that, and we've also, the other thing is I can give you our swaps volume, because it's all public, and all of the fees are flowing to, like I said, our community multisig. The community multisig has around 1,200 USD equivalent in it at this point, which I believe is around 250 to 300,000 USD of total volume, and that's just in testing and community members trying out the swaps, and some of them probably using it more than once. But yeah, that's those are kind of some of the numbers that we've seen so far, which are pretty encouraging, given, like I said, we are still in our community edition. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, I got two more questions for you. I know we're a little bit over time, but I'm
no
grooving
worries.
here, so I'm having a great time. Um, so tell me a little bit about security. If somebody was concerned about the Tally Ho wallet security, what would be your response to them?
For sure. I mean, we have an audit. Actually, as soon as the audit report is available, we're going to be making it available to our community. We are very security minded. I think it comes down from some of the practices, even from the studio level. So, for example, I worked with Keep Network before. We were building TBTC, which is the only decentralized wrapped Bitcoin. And I just saw like the engineering practices and like the commitment to being audited and making sure that we have user safety in mind is really top of mind there. And I think that kind of filters down to what we're doing on Tally Ho. I mean, there's a couple of the same people involved. Matt, our founder, Matt Longo, he he's very involved, and just like, yeah, his just knowledge in that field in security and like making sure that that contracts are safe and all that kind of stuff. There's really an attention to detail. And the other nice thing is we generally, like, I don't think anyone of our team would feel comfortable shipping something if we didn't know it was safe. Beyond obviously the main caveat of alpha releases and general smart contract risk. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is we do have that definitely in mind in all the areas that we're building, and trying to make sure that even things, yeah, just exploits are not easy to do. We've made changes in terms of like we currently don't have the ability to move the wallets out of Tally Ho because as you've seen, there's been a lot of social engineering attacks where people uh, somehow are ending up sharing their screen with someone that's malicious, and they inadvertently expose their seed phrase, and then all of their funds are gone. Like, so yeah, there's a lot of different things that we're small things too that we're developing and that we have ideas about to increase security. Some of the things that I can tell you about that we're doing right now in the wallet is that we do a little bit differently. I mean, MetaMask is an easy comparison just because they're the biggest and people are most familiar with them. I don't like to. I respect MetaMask. I've used it a lot too. It's not that I'm hating on them. We're just building something a bit different, and they're easy to compare to. But so one of the things that we're doing different in terms of key material is MetaMask generally stores the key material locally on your machine, and the Tallyho extension stores all of that material in the extension storage, which we think is a bit of a more secure way of dealing with that material. We also have, instead of just a password when you open and first launch the extension, we have basically what's a timeout feature. So if you haven't interacted with your key material in, I believe the default is 30 minutes, although we have had discussions just in the last few days about potentially making that an adjustable feature. But yeah, essentially, if you haven't interacted and required your key material for half an hour, and you try to do a transaction, it will prompt you for that password again. So it doesn't necessarily lock you out from going through the wallet and like checking your balances and things, but it does have provide that extra safety. For example, if you left your computer open, left it somewhere, or maybe you left your PC running and you were like your place was broken into, or any various numbers of ways that someone could get behind your PC with your wallet extension installed. In that case, yeah, even if you have been logged in, um, essentially you would have hit the timeout and require a password, so someone can't come in and transfer funds out of your wallet, which isn't necessarily the case with other wallets.
Really, really good stuff. All right, I lied. I actually still have two more questions. They're both fun ones, though, and should be
No
quick.
worries, no
All
worries.
right,
Go for it.
all right. And sadly, I had to miss it. But one of the things that everybody that went to ETH Denver talked about was your guys' puppy day. Whose
Oh
idea
yeah.
was it? And how did you pull that off?
Oh man. I think this was maybe even Blaze and Monty's idea from. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but they do co- basically community consultation under Frothy is their I guess, project title. But yeah, I think part of it came from them. Part of it, some of our organizational team really just hooked us up uh, with the uh, agency on the ground. We partnered with a no kill rescue, and yeah, the puppies that were there were adoptable, and yeah, we just uh, gave them a lot of attention throughout the day. I think they were about 3-hour sessions, 2 different days. And yeah, I mean, it was really fun. The puppy, I mean, you can't go wrong with little puppies. They're too cute and they're just fun to be around. And yeah, it was a really great a really great activation and event. I mean, even if you had no idea what Tally or Tally Ho was, the just getting to hang around with puppies is always a good always a good time. Um, but yeah, really, there were a number of different people involved, both with brainstorming the idea, trying to get everything in place, getting the shelter that we were able to partner with, and yeah, kind of making it all happen on the ground. But various people involved, and yeah, was really happy that we were able to pull that off because I know the puppies brightened a lot of people's days, and I saw all kinds of different photos and just people just excited about getting to hang out with some puppies. So yeah, I look out for other events that we're showing up at. We may try to do it again.
I mean, really, just an absolute stroke of genius. Really fun move and great reviews from our folks. And I'm super jealous. I probably would have came home with one. So maybe
I was considering it, I will admit.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Okay. So last question here. I know that you mentioned that you guys, you're looking at coming close to launching your DAO. You don't have a token. Who knows? Maybe that's in the works. Maybe not. But for people that want to get involved and maybe want to, secure maybe a little bit of inside access or anything, is there anything that you could recommend folks to do to interact with you guys that, maybe gets them on a list or anything like that?
Yeah, you bet. So, I mean, the biggest thing is join our Discord. We deal with a lot of our stuff through there. Um, Join a community call. We generally have POAPs for most of the calls that are coming up. And yeah, I mean, really, if there's something that you feel that you have time and ability to contribute to, we have a number of different working groups available. Even anything from as simple as taking notes or translating notes from a call up to like getting involved with the scouts and getting going out to other projects and working on getting wallet integrations happening and wallet connections happening, all the way up to like literal development and testing of the wallet. So if you are a dev or if you are someone who um, is able to like test the wallet, get error logs and all that kind of stuff, and really dig into potential issues that you're finding and reporting them back. All of those things are super, super helpful. And yeah, really, the biggest thing is just get involved somehow in the community, and certainly don't want to don't want to make it that I'm pulling folks from your community away either. Definitely build connections between the two communities, and yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing is just be around. Um, there's gonna be a lot of buzz around the full launch, I think. So as long as you're in there and aware of what's happening, yeah, should be good for you.
Awesome. I mean, I love it. I've seen synergies from our community too. I know that folks have contributed. I know I've bugged Nax and East a good amount on some of the testing things I've found with the community version as well. So I'm super excited for you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to where we can go with this, and really, uh, really excited for the DAO launch. So I can't wait to give the community more ownership.
Well, Chris, this has been a fantastic call. I really appreciate your time, the insights here. It's really cool to see what you're building and the approach that you're taking to it. And so really just thank you for your time. Thanks for hopping in and sharing with our community. And I just can't wait to see where this goes next.
You bet. Thank you guys for having me. Good to see everybody. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a line or just jump into our community. Our community is very helpful for the most part. So yeah, thanks again for having me on, guys.
For sure, Chris. Really appreciate it. Guys, we will just wrap up here with just very, very short updates. If you didn't see the announcement this morning, our audits are in. So why don't you quickly check the status hub? We checked off a number of boxes there. So really excited to see, the next steps of CG development. We've still got, a few more things we're working on, but a great hurdle passed through this morning. And then just one last shout out about, checking our jobs board, keeperdao.com/careers. Still a lot of opportunities there as well. But again, Chris, thanks for showing up today. Everybody here in the audience, thanks for listening and for the questions that people submitted. It's been another fantastic community call. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out today. Again, I'm Kyle, or What's the Deets. It's been an awesome opportunity getting to share this space with you guys. So thank you all, and we'll see you again next time.
Awesome. Take care.